Hello and welcome to the Cinema Snobs VR cast, and I am Jimmie,
And I'm Jake.
and we are back for our February episode, episode 8. We've done 8 episodes actually, Jake. Can you believe it? Oh my god, I just
We do
noticed.
8? Or
We're
was
on
that
8.
9?
We're on 8 right now. Look at you.
What? How about that?
What's that?
What? Oh,
You're like, what?
okay.
Oh, good. So, what were you going to say? Finish your thought.
Well, I was just gonna talk about the unreleased one, but that's kind of like
Well,
unnecessary to talk about.
yes, we have that. What was that? That was
It's supposed
was
to be
that
7 or
6 we
6 or
missed?
something.
No, well,
It's
we
7 or
did
6.
record it, right? We did record 6, but we never aired it because your mic was off.
Yeah.
So I actually have the whole show of episode 6, but it's just me talking.
Yeah.
And you like lip syncing. I was like, how do we put this out? Do we want to redo the whole thing? Which is I don't really want to do because, it's supposed to be on the fly. We don't really plan much except what we're gonna watch and talk about that. And that's not and then we also surprise each other what we're gonna watch. So for the following month, so I didn't want to fake that. It just seems so ingenuine. So um, it's we're not going to redo it, and I'm also not going to go and dub your voice and do some stupid shit like that. So let's just say episode 6 is finished, but I mean it is a show, but it's just not good enough to air. Put it that way. So and then
Okay.
7 was a lot of fun. We did the year end, so that was a marathon. That was a
Yeah.
3-hour show.
Yep. But
So
then what was the one that was unreleased about? I forgot.
the unreleased one was the silent films.
Oh,
Yeah, when
that was a pretty good episode.
I know we talked
I
about
talked good.
we talked about the artist and also the Steamboat Bill Jr.
Yeah.
So that sucks, and I mean let's not get into that, but let's just say that we watched those silent films. I loved Steamboat Jr. You watched the artist. We both never saw the artist, so that was cool. But we did a whole thing about silent films and how ironic that you were silent. So that's what I was even thinking about that. Like, how about we just subtitle it?
That would be insane.
But it just every time you talk, it'll go to the card with the dialogue. That would be
No,
nuts.
that'd be a
Anyway,
lot.
okay. So anyway, this is episode 8. It's January. It's February, and our special is J horror, where we picked Japanese horror for our theme, and I picked Suicide Club for Jake to watch, and Jake picked Kwaidan for me to watch, which is
Yep.
something I've always wanted to see. And I sprung Suicide Club on you. Have you ever heard of it before I mentioned it to you? Were you
Yeah, I
familiar?
have. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so many choices, but I I just didn't want to do the typical The Ring or Ju-on, and I honestly, you've seen those already.
I
So
never even seen the Grudge. The Grudge though.
oh my God, see, if I would have known that, I would have, because that would have been good. I thought you did see.
No.
No, we know you saw the scary movie, which
Scary Movie
when
4. That's
when
about
they
it.
goofed on it. Oh my God, it kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about what we watched. We'll just go over briefly what we did in the month of January and then into this half of February. So, what's something that you watched that really stood out that you want to talk about? What's something you saw you want to share?
Okay, so I've recently gotten to like a little like William Friedkin kind of like obsession, which
Nice.
I started with rewatching The French Connection, and this is a film that I've seen way too early. Like I remember watching it just because it won Best Picture, and I was like, okay, whatever, won Best Picture, cool. The guy from Jaws is in it, so I'll watch it because he's in it. That was the only thing I thought I knew about the film. The guy from Jaws was in it. That was it,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't even know who Gene Hackman was at the time. I didn't even really know who William Friedkin is. I don't even think I'd seen The Exorcist at the time. I seen The French Connection before The Exorcist, so I was totally unaware of William Friedkin and his work
Mm-hmm.
essentially. So I originally seen the French Connection and I loved it, and I particularly loved one scene, which is like the best chase scene of all time, like by far. Like people always talk about Bullet, people always talk about Death Proof. Like no, freaking French Connection is literally the best chase scene of all time. There's no debate.
Hmm.
I respect someone who has a debate, but I think it's kind of objective.
Well,
But
unfortunately, I
anyways,
can't debate you because I never saw the French Connection. I've seen
well, you should
scenes
really
and
see it.
parts.
It's
Oh, I
great.
know. I just it's a
Yeah.
shameful. It'll be a shameful first watch, but you know,
Yeah.
it'll be look. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but yeah, I just never got to that one. I've seen a lot of parts and
It's
kind of
really good.
what I figured ruined it, but no, I guess I never really experienced
No.
it.
Yeah, it's like perfect representation of like the what the American New Wave meant to America, because like, you know, they were starting to shoot stuff on lower budgets, handheld. It felt very European. Um, it wasn't really um like narrative based. It was more just like it had this whole tone of like just crime, like a literal criminal underbelly. Like that's what the film captures so well. But anyways, we're talking about Freakin', and I watched another film of his, To Live or Die in L.A.,
Yeah.
and I thought that was an amazing film. And I'm still thinking about it, and that's why I wanted to mention it. But other films I've seen that were just great was, I watched for the first time Marriage Story, which like was totally a
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an homage in a way to Bergman's
I was
Scenes from
gonna
a
say,
Marriage.
yeah, yeah, Bergman,
Yeah,
because you were
it's
telling. I never saw that
totally
one, but you were telling me about that, and I thought about Marriage
yeah.
Story. Nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, Marriage Story is definitely like a modern Scenes from a Marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's less cruel. Like Marriage Story is kind of funny in ways. Like Scenes from a Marriage have has Scenes from a Marriage has like no comedy, but Marriage Story is also very depressing, so that's like don't take that too literally. But like also I rewatched Back to the Future, which like everyone knows that film, everyone loves that film. And like, I was expecting to be like, okay, I love this film a lot when I seen it, 3, 4 years ago. Because like I actually seen that film really late, because I know people like are really young just watch Back to the Future, but
Mm-hmm.
like I rewatched it and I was like, damn, I mean, this really is just one of the best like pop culture, um, you know, how else do I explain it? Like just like purely popular blockbuster, like famous 80s films. Like it's just good. There's
Yeah.
no way around it. You can't hate on it, because a lot of people like to hate on it because like, oh, it's so popular, everyone loves it, so I'm gonna pick on it. Like, no, you're not picking on Back to the Future.
No,
It's
no,
good.
man. I mean, it's as much as we're here, we're the cinema snobs, right? We talk about cinema and art and stuff. I mean, if we can do another cast called movie snobs, but it's all cinema,
I've been
and I love those
significantly less
movies.
snobby,
There you
as
go.
time goes by.
Yes, it's all about balance. Like I have
I
a
feel like
crazy range
every
myself.
cinephile goes through a snobby stage, and I feel like
Yes.
I wasn't in that for too long, so thank God.
I don't know. That's kind of why I invented a show. I'm like, well, how can I talk movies with Jake, because you probably seen more art house and
Yeah,
like
I'm not a
auteur
snob. I don't even
film.
identify as a snob.
No, no, I don't mean it. It's just we're just making fun of ourselves, and making fun of the cliche of that, of that term. But no, no, that's the
Look at
thing.
you got
This
the
show
freaking original Japanese posters for these.
is the range. So yeah, well, anyway, like okay, so okay, Back to the Future, amazing, love it. I can rewatch that every time. And you
Yeah.
mentioned Marriage Story. I've seen it. That was during like my Oscar run of a couple years ago. I remember having to cram that in, and glad I did.
Hmm.
Um, and then you also mentioned To Live and Die LA. I haven't seen that one yet. In fact, I didn't see a lot of Friedkin. As much as I love him and Exorcist and Sorcerer, I never really watched too much
Yeah,
of his
I
stuff.
also
Oh,
want to see the
Bug.
Sorcerer. I
I
never got
love
around to
Bug
it.
too. Bug
Bug's
was
good, yeah.
fun. You never saw Sorcerer?
No, I
Oh,
need
you would
to.
really you would really like that one.
I just heard the freaking Tangerine Dream score and I was like,
Oh,
damn, it's
that's
freaking
what
good.
I love most.
Doesn't
That's what
even
I love
sound like
most.
it should be in that film.
Well, oh man. And then
But
also he did a movie called The Ninth Configuration. Oh no, that's not him. Ninth
that's not
Configuration
him,
is
no.
from William Blatty, who wrote The Exorcist. But it was very much the
Oh,
Friedkin
yeah.
vibe.
Was
I
it?
forget, he might have produced it. I think he was involved in some way, but yeah. So William Blatty, um, or yeah, Ninth Configuration. That's another one you need to look up if you want to get in the world of Freakin'. So anyway, so real quick, what I watched and really stood out. We watched together actually was A Real Pain, Jesse
Oh, yeah.
Eisenberg's film, and
Hmm.
yeah, that was a nice surprise. The more I think about it, I kind of think I underrated it a bit. I think I only gave it 3.5,
I
which is
told you to
good.
grow on you.
Which is good. Yeah, but it kind of grew on me. I didn't change it to 4, but I think, just between us, I don't have to put on Letterboxd, but I think it really is more of a 4 because I do think
Change it
about it a
then.
lot. Yeah, I do think about it a lot, and
Yeah.
it definitely deserves, it won Best Screenplay at the Spirit Awards, which just aired, and I think that yeah, that was well deserved, and the acting was great. Yeah, and it's the good story. Another movie that I saw that I wish I would have loved it a lot more. I spoke about it on the Piecing It Together podcast, which is currently online. I was a guest on that show, and it was The Monkey, Oz Perkins.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. And thinking back of the show, and I didn't even listen to it, to be honest with you. I didn't really want to rehear me, like, because I just like, I feel like I hold back a little too much um, on that show, and because I don't really want to be the dogging on movies, and not that I mean, I still gave it a 3.5, or no, I gave it a 3, which I like, but I mean, it just I don't know. New horror is not really hitting it for me right now, and I think it's just me personally, but hey, it's my opinion.
Oh
It's
no, I'm
my
with you.
slot. So yeah, it just and it's funny because when we saw Long Legs, it was the same thing. I didn't really like it at first, but I knew there was something there, and I went to go see it again, and I liked it a lot more. But I
Maybe
guess
you're
I'm
just
just
not
so
Oz Perkins guy.
no, I like him. It's just I guess I'm just so into to just thinking like everyone's just coming out and doing what inspired them. Like I don't see any originality 100%. And I guess it's hard to be that, you know, because that's the auteurs, the directors that I
That's like impossible now.
living directors I do love. P.T. Anderson and Chris Noe and Gaspar Noé and Christopher Nolan, guys like that. Anytime they come out with something new, it just seems like they're always on point. And
Yeah, because they're the best.
yeah. But Oz Perkins, I mean, he's definitely growing. The monkey definitely shows that he's got some range because this is definitely more of a comedy, you know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help to just compare it to a lot of films that have been done already. Final Destination, even one we're going to talk about tonight, Suicide Club, which is I mentioned that in the show. I said it reminded me a lot of like bonkers, gleeful horror gore from like J horror films. So well, at least at
Yeah.
least some of them. There's a lot of them, Takashi Miike and all those guys who just indulge in splattering, blood spraying horror gore and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think you'll like it. You might like it more than me even, but I don't know. So yeah, those are the only
I
two I
don't know.
can
I
think
really
of right
want to see
now.
it.
I was on a February. I was also on a big Jess Franco kick. I was watching a lot of Jess Franco films. Franco February. So I can go on and on about that, but maybe for another show when I get you down that rabbit hole one day. But all
I
right,
can't
well,
wait.
very cool. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna start off with Suicide Club. So hang out. We'll be right back.
ねえ早くください私いつも待ってるねえ特別なのこんな風に思ってるのあなたは知らないね
Okay, welcome back to the Cinema Snobs VR cast, and we're going to talk about 2001's Sion Sono's Suicide Club, which is the film I picked for Jake. We were doing J horror, and I was like, okay, do I do The Ring? Seen it. Do I do The Grudge? He said he didn't see it, but if I would have known, that would have been a good one. But then at the same time, it's kind of cool to have a little something more in depth, a little more less mainstream, because those were obviously ran into remakes. But Suicide Club was a film that I did see kind of when I went down the J horror rabbit hole, and of course, I wanted to see more. So this is one that kept coming up on a lot of lists and talked about. So that's why I picked it. So first thoughts when you saw this film, what did you think? And unfortunately, we had a kind of a bad copy of it. I only have it on DVD. I have it on DVD, and you know, and I was almost gonna bite the bullet and get the new Blu-ray, but from what I understand, it's still okay compared to it's nothing like a 4K or anyway. First thoughts, what'd you think?
I thought it was a great film. I really liked it because one, you just recently talked about how like I know we're talking about nearly a quarter of a century old, but like um you're saying that horror films are just like they're not original or just films in general. Like this
Mm-hmm.
film is original and daring, very
Mm-hmm.
daring. There's been a lot of films about like sprees of suicides and like society altogether having like a what's it called, a mass hysteria kind of thing. Like that's what freaking Carpenter did in in the Mouth of Madness. Like that was kind of what it was like.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't about a holistic community. But Suicide Club was great to me, not only because of the gore, which sometimes it was like CGI, but honestly, I can give the Japanese, like when they do gore, it's like so insane and like it's like
Mm-hmm.
comic book like. So if you
Right.
throw a little CGI in there, like I'm not complaining.
I
But
can't
like
help to I can't help to think that it has a lot to do with uh what do they call it, graphic novels and stuff, you know, and a lot of
oh, like the mangas.
mangas and stuff, yeah, like, you
Yeah,
know, a lot of the
I guess. I mean,
cartoonish style horror and gore.
yeah. I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. But I mean,
It's like they want
that
to
opening
react
scene,
that they
like
want to react what was usually drawn and, you know,
exactly, and
animated.
sometimes they can't because it's so absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. The opening scene was so absurd that so yeah, I'll give you guys credit. I'll give you guys allowance to do CGI blood because that was insane. But yeah, anyways, Suicide Club actually opens up with like one of the most memorable opening scenes
Oh yeah, definitely.
um in a horror film. Like I always knew that that's how the film opened up, which sucks because I was like, okay, when is the can I spoil or what?
Yeah, just say it. Say I'm gonna spoil it if you
Okay,
guys.
I was like, okay, we're gonna see 50 little Japanese schoolgirls get ran over by the subway. So when is
I
that
think
coming
a
up?
lot of
And that happened
that's
right
in the
away.
trailer too. So I mean, I think
I guess, yeah.
that's how you sell this movie is you tell
That's
people it
true, yeah.
opens up with this scene, and then that's how you go down the journey, you know.
That's
So
true.
yeah, that
But
definitely
still, I
spoil
mean,
that.
that is the best part of the film still. But um this is just a kind of film that it gets more absurd. Like it actually gets less violent as it goes, arguably, because
Right.
the opening scene is the most violent.
Yeah.
I mean, there is more graphic stuff, like the stuff where like they go to that bowling alley, which by the way, very, very, very memorable set piece. And like the
Mm.
musical number was just like that was amazing.
Oh, you
I
like
won't
that?
forget
Yeah.
that scene
Cool.
either.
Cool. Cool. I thought that
Yeah.
might have turned off some people, because
No, that
it's
was
definitely
great.
different. Yeah.
It was weird. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Kind
liked
of
it.
like. Didn't it remind you a little bit of like how what's Refn's movie with when they do the
Oh,
karaoke?
freaking yeah, the Thai film. It's called Only God Forgives.
Only God forgives.
But yeah, that was great.
Yeah, just like how
But
good it is.
Suicide Club is just like um, it kind of it grows on you how sublime it is because at first it's like this like um, oddly formatted, kind of occasionally what's the word, like convoluted kind of detective story. Sometimes from the police POV, sometimes from just the ordinary, schoolgirl POV. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, it's interesting. And then as the film goes, you kind of realize it's not about these people dealing with like mass suicides and all that, even though the film is about like society as a whole and like
Yeah.
it's a metaphor about like Japan's suicide rates, which have been like always high, just because that's like a part of their culture. Like
Yeah.
um, killing yourself in Japan has always been like massive a cultural thing, like out of honor and stuff. So like, and it's still
Right.
there.
Yeah, and
Um, but
I
that's
like how,
that's what Suicide Club's definitely there to present.
and it also ties in a lot of uh early, because this is 2001, early social media,
Yeah, like fear of
kind of
social media
addiction, and just kind of like
addiction.
how
Yeah,
kids could be, um you know, they had the whole the little Japanese band, the little the
yeah,
kids
yeah,
band that like
hmm
is how it's influencing kids and like sucking
yeah.
them in. Because I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but like, because that's the thing, I still honestly don't even really know who
I
was at
don't
fault.
100% get the film either.
But I
Yeah,
think what they're, and this is a spoiler, but, you know,
it gets deep at the end.
it's, yeah, there's definitely some connection to that band, like,
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
They were second. I love how they were like the way they
What were
on
they
their
called? They
album
were called like
cover.
dessert or something.
Yeah, dessert. Yeah, but they like remember how they had like the album cover, how they were holding up the signs with their hands like
Yeah, it was like a
numbers, and like
subliminal message.
and it
Yeah,
was spelling suicide, and like yeah, I love
yeah,
all that. Like it's definitely, I think
it's
that
great.
this movie was definitely on the heels of the success of The Ring, on how like a cursed videotape. So this was more like a curse that was uh, given or put through social media and for kids to
Yeah,
show that
and
if
then I
you get
also think
hooked
of
on
like,
something, you can, this could happen or something.
yeah,
I'm
true,
sorry.
like
Go ahead.
getting hooked. No, no,
Right,
it's fine.
right, right.
Like it's like One Missed Call, which like I didn't like that film. I mean
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
Same
all
thing
right,
with the cell
but
phone.
I thought that it was kind of a miss, but I mean it was an all right film overall. But like that film was like basically taking the idea of The Ring and even Suicide Club with like the
Right.
insane kills and all that, except like it was really B. You know, like this isn't B.
Yeah, this is definitely more artsy. Like I don't know much about Sion Sono, but like he's definitely
I heard he made great films.
arts. Yeah, I think he this is probably, God, I'm just assuming here, but it just seems like he was this take on horror, but everything else he does is a lot more deeper and a lot more intellectual,
I
and
know
that's
he's
the
played around with horror more, but he's done other things that are deeper, yeah, and
yeah,
even like
and he pulled
comedic.
that into this. So I liked how this one was definitely a good mixture of like art house with a message, but also
Yeah.
Japanese, like uh, riding on the coattails of like the Japanese J horror boom at the
Mhm.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wonder how this played in Japan at the time. Like, was this a big hit? I didn't really do
I'm
too much
sure it was.
research
It
on it.
seemed like it would be.
Yeah,
Because like
so
it appeals to kids, but it also has the depth to appeal to older people.
right,
And then
right,
at the end, like it becomes so wild. I'm not sure, how the public might have like consumed that back then. Because like at the end, when it becomes about like consciousness and like
right,
you know, like there was some like really memorable line I forgot, but it just orbited like something very philosophical and like much deeper than what you'd expect from the ordinary like detective film. So
right.
like I
Yeah,
was just shocked by that it went there, even when it didn't have to, and then it just became mysterious, and I still have unanswered questions that I've yet to really uncover.
right. Which is why it does. It second watches, third watches will definitely get better. This was my
Yeah,
second, so um, I still scratch my head a little bit, but I definitely got a lot more, and the theme
yeah,
definitely hit me over the head a lot sooner. Um,
hmm
and but yeah, just you can't beat that opening scene. You can't beat the timing of it when it came
I like the
out.
musical number. I actually think that's the
Yeah,
best part
oh,
of the
that
film.
song that
Yeah,
got hooked. Yeah, so all right, cool. So what do you give it for stars then?
I give it 4.
Nice. Okay. Well, I say the same. Yep. And
That's it.
very cool. All right. Well, we are going to come back after this break, and we're going to watch the film that you recommended for me to see, which was definitely on my must-watch list, and went out and bought the Criterion and all, and I'm glad I did. That's a little spoiler, and that's Kwaidan by Masaki Kobayashi.
Kobayashi.
We'll be right back.
時こそ来たれ元禄2年3月24日の宇野国に源平両軍船でして壇の裏にて
Okay, so welcome back to Cinema Snobs VR cast, and what did you pick for me, Jake, to watch?
I picked Kwaidan from 1964, directed by Masaki Kobayashi. This film
Yes.
really had like a lot of stars from the time in Japan, most notably Tatsuya Nakadai, who's like
Mhm.
he basically became Akira Kurosawa's muse after, well, he was working with Kurosawa before his whole fight with what's his name, Mifune.
Was he? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Is he in the first
yeah, and
episode?
he starred in Ron.
Was he in the
No, he's
first
the guy in
episode?
the second one. He's the guy in the second one.
Okay, okay. What
Yeah.
are the episodes? Can you
Um,
recall? We were trying to remember.
Okay, yeah. The first story, there's 4 of them. The first story is the black hair.
Mhm.
Which if you want to talk about them individually, should we just do it like that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay,
basically,
I could talk about the black.
I could say one thing, like what I knew about this film, because you did recommend it to
Yeah.
me. And number
Okay.
one is like, again, when I was going down the J horror rabbit hole after the success of The Ring, I wanted to see everything, and this was one that I never did get to, but I really should have a lot
And
earlier.
Onibaba.
Yes, because this one was, they talked about the first episode, the black hair being, part of the folklore of the yokai, which is the Japanese ghosts. Um,
Yeah.
and so that was like, and I seen clips of this. I seen a lot of clips, maybe too many, and I always was drawn to it, but never got to see it. But yeah, the first one, the black hair, we could start with that one. Um, what do you know about it? Like, what have you known? I told you what I know. Like, what have you known about this, and why did you want to show it to
I
me?
mean, I'm gonna be honest. The only thing I knew, like, I haven't seen too many old horror films from Japan that kind of like orbit that whole folklore. But I just know that in Japan, having this like long black hair is like just like
Yeah.
the symbolism of like spirits, as in like for traditionally more in America, it would be like I don't know mirrors or something. But
Hmm.
over there, it's black hair.
Well, it represents life. So like, especially for, it's life. Like a full head of hair is like life. So that's why a lot of these ghosts
Did you
always seem
read
to have
about this?
long hair. I watched listened to a little bit of a commentary actually on this.
Hmm.
Yep. That's I didn't get the whole thing, but that's one of the things. Plus, I do remember that from The Ring. That was something that, you know,
Yeah,
um, but they
of
mentioned that
course.
in Kwaidan specifically.
Yeah.
But
So
mhm.
I'll just say the here. I'll say talk about the synopsis, and then I'll ask you what you thought. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the black hair is basically just about this like samurai who's like it's kicks off where he's like to his wife, he's like, hey, we're not really getting anywhere, so I'm just gonna leave you because I want to be a more renowned samurai and marry a more like interesting woman.
that
And she's
was
like all
cruel.
depressed, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna leave you. That's literally how it went.
Right, right.
And it kind of develops and represents how men and women were in that era, right? And that's kind of played a role in this film, not that it really you know goes in depth anywhere with that, but like that's very prevalent in this story.
Hmm.
So then uh yeah, I'll end it like that, like, and then
Yeah.
he gets with another girl and doesn't go too well, and he wants to go visit his
Then
old
he
girl
wants to go
back because
back to his
he's
first
like, I
wife.
miss her because she was good to me and she was much better, more interesting
Right. He
in
realized the
hindsight.
hard way.
And then there's a twist. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
So what
mean,
do you think about that one?
I actually, I was a little underwhelmed by this one.
Me too, I would say. Yeah.
I love, of course, all the symbolism, and like, you have to
Yeah.
treat this as like the beginning stages of so much. I mean, this is what
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
you're jumping around over there. You're jumping. Um, so like, yeah, this is what, 64 or 54?
Yeah.
54.
60.
64.
And that's 60. Yeah.
Okay,
If this was 54, that would
yeah,
be
no.
insane.
Well, like, there's just, I mean, even though it was a lot of horror, obviously, before all that, and American stuff and all that, it's just like, this one was like Japan really just like um, coming into their own and saying, this is our folklore. This is what scares
Yes, yeah,
us.
that's what
This is,
scares us.
so
Yeah.
I love seeing all that stuff in it. So all the symbolism, and man, we can go on and on about the set designs and like, and
For real.
and just
Just
everything
how
about.
grand it was.
I would say overall, like
The
all four
tone,
of these stories,
cinematography.
yeah, the filmmaking in general is definitely 4.5 stars. For me, even
Yeah.
5. Geez, I mean, it had everything.
Yeah.
Um, not necessarily my favorite kind of film, but like, if you're gonna compare it
Yeah.
to like Wizard of Oz, which was all done on sets and all that, this is like a Japanese Wizard of Oz if you think about it. Like the sets
Yeah.
were amazing. So number
Really.
one,
It
the
was very
story,
like fantastical in that area, in that
but the
time too.
story overall, yeah, like I said, I love that it had the whole black hair thing, but I was really kind of expecting a little bit more creepiness and skin crawling kind of a thing, and I didn't get it too
Yeah.
much. The
But we
sound
get it
design,
later on.
I really loved. Like everything was just like purposely like
Yeah.
just creaking and crackling
It was very
just,
different.
oh
Yeah.
my God, it was definitely a tone that was set. So, but
Yeah.
if I'm gonna give stars to each episode, I would say this one was a 3 to me. Yeah.
I would say 3.5. And the thing I liked about this one is like, you know, I've seen slow films and I've only seen one Kobayashi film, but Kwaidan is slow. Like if
Yeah.
you're not up, you're gonna fall asleep. And that's nothing against the film, because like me personally, I love this film. I think it's a masterpiece. It's
Hmm.
probably the most important Japanese horror film to have ever came out. Um, and is it really scary nowadays? Personally to me, not so much, but there are some creepy moments,
Oh,
and I
you
feel
could
like the
just
black hair
tell.
is
Yeah.
probably the least creepy. Well, besides the third story, but like, yeah,
But
the
even the
black hair
first
has
one.
its moments though.
But even the first one, I kept thinking about that. Like I said, it was like such a kickstart to so much, and I just can't help to think like, man, the audiences in these days must have been freaked out by that. So
Yeah.
I just put myself in their shoes and just realized that, man, this was scary for the time. And yeah.
Well, then we should talk about
Yeah.
um
So yeah,
the
the next
second
episode.
story,
Next up is
which is like
the
a
lady in
dark
the
romance.
snow. What is it called?
The Lady in the Snow,
The
or
lady in
The
the
Woman
snow.
in the Snow, Lady
The
in the
woman in the
Snow.
snow.
Either one of those. But yeah, this story, which stars Tetsuya Nakadai, is basically about, he's out, he's like a woodcutter or something, and he's out with a guy, and it's a blizzard, and she's trying to get away, and he finds shelter in this little cabin, and like suddenly this like snow ghost or whatever just
Mm-hmm.
appears and just abruptly kills his partner by like,
Right.
I don't know. It just like there's a bright light that shines over him, and she just kills him. And then
Right.
he basically says to she basically says to him like, "I'll let you go, but you can never talk about this with anyone." And that just
Mm-hmm.
that alone is creepy. The way she looks, she's all pale. It's just
Right.
creepy. Um, and then from there, he falls in love with a woman. And from there, there's a twist,
Well,
which
Rich right away, as soon as he said, "But if you tell somebody, I will kill you," and instantly
yeah,
went to, of course, what I was like, this is where they got the inspiration for the Tales from the Dark Side movie
that's what I thought when I first seen it
with
too.
the one with James
That's literally
Remar.
why I told you to watch this film, just for that
Yes,
alone.
and that was like
Yeah.
so cool. As soon as I heard that, I was like,
Mhm.
yes, now I know. Unfortunately, it spoiled it for me, but at the same time, again, what are you going to expect? This movie's been out since the '60s, and
Yeah, it's
um,
freaking
and it
like
just
60 years old.
makes me love the Tales of the Dark Side, because I love that episode. That is definitely one of my favorite shorts in an anthology of all time in horror.
Oh yeah,
Even in
it's
like
good.
above Creepshow, a lot of people always say Creepshow is the best, and of course there's some, maybe I'll have to rethink it, but like I definitely think the and I can't even remember the title of that episode. Actually, I should have looked that up. But the title of
It's
the
called like the
episode in
Gargoyle or
Tales
something,
from
probably, right?
yeah, the Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah, but it has a episode title. I can't remember. But yeah, so right away, so that's a spoiler on that. If anything, if you're a fan of horror and you know that Tales from Dark Side movie, you'll smile ear to ear like I did when you see this episode or this part of Kwaidan, because that's what definitely just killed it right there, like killing it, loving it
Yeah,
movie. So like,
but I
and
feel
then
like this one had the
a little
most
overwhelming,
narrative power.
a little underwhelming on the, because of course it can't top the
Oh yeah,
gore
the
and like
violence
just
of
the
it. Yeah,
violence and everything. But I mean, again, just the story in general, and I'm sure that is enough to like have blown away people in the day when they saw this film, and gives
yeah.
it respect. That story and that idea alone. But
Well, I feel like this one has the most narrative power out of even the
yes,
third
narratively,
story, arguably. But
yep,
what really shines in the second story too is like, unfortunately, the third story kind of takes the limelight away from it because of how grand it is compared to the other stories.
yeah,
But like this one has amazing set design, and like that
oh
those
yeah,
skies in the background, like unforgettable,
yes,
really.
the reds and oh man.
And
So this one's a 4 for me.
um,
This episode for sure.
yeah, I call it a 4 also.
Cool. All right. So the third one was Hokai the Earless, or what is it?
It's called Hoichi the Earless.
Hoichi the
Hopefully I'm
Earless.
pronouncing the name right, but yeah, this one's just more about, and I haven't seen this story in a while, but it's basically about this guy, he's like blind, right?
He's a musician that
He's a musician, he's
he's
blind.
blind. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And there's like this like it starts off with this like war told in like pictures.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
which was freaking amazing. The
And
set
probably the
design, the
best part of the film.
costumes, I mean, just the way they orchestrated the fight. What do you call it when
The
you do
music too.
just like that whole sequence was just so grand, and like I just can't believe how they did that, like how they choreographed that whole fight. Even like so many, like I kept thinking, like, what if guys fell into water and like had to redo everything? Like, man, they didn't fall into water where they could have, and that could have ruined everything. They just choreographed that perfectly, and that must have been hell to shoot
No,
that.
I do remember that.
That must have been hell to shoot
I
that.
really
But it was
distinctly remember that.
amazing. But yeah, opening scene
This
was
whole
great.
film, probably.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, this one is probably the most heavy on folklore, just like that whole imagery with like all that writing on his body. That is the image of Kwaidan.
Yes. And you know what and this is
So
something I also listened to on the commentary. Or no, I heard it on they did a really cool J horror episode in on a Shudder series about horror, and this was about J horror, and so they were talking about how that was, I don't know if it was explained in a movie because I didn't catch it in a movie, but if I didn't see this prior to, I probably wouldn't have got it. But that was like a protection from the spirits or from the evil.
No, that's
which
what they
was
said in the film
to be
too.
tattooed. Okay, and the reason why they attacked his ear is because
It's because they didn't write on it.
It wasn't tattooed. It wasn't written on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was really cool symbolism, and also so it was like a protection, right? It was kind of like when you're around zombies, you're supposed to put blood and gore all over you. Then they can't tell you're human. So they missed a spot, and that's what they go after. So
when this one was very musical too, like some films require music to tell its story, and this one definitely is that.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah, this had
eeriness
more
of this
score.
film, of this segment, and it's definitely the least scary out of all of them.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe the fourth one, but it starts scary and it gets kind of like calm. So maybe it didn't want to like freak out its viewers too much, or something like that.
But yeah, you're right.
like,
This is the most folk horror, folk lore, I should say, in all these. But definitely, filmmaking wise, amazing, and story wise, a little hard to follow. But I guess it had a lot more deeper themes involved too. That was probably more connected.
I thought this was the masterpiece of the entire film.
Yes, as far as but story, you loved it too, though. Story, you loved it even more.
Yeah,
than
I
two, or the
don't
second
want
one?
to talk about it too much because of how, like, I can't really give a synopsis for this one because the whole thing about how painting your body to avoid spirits, like, that's kind of the
Evil spirits, yeah.
synopsis of the film alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is just very like, it was very like, I don't know, it had a lot to give, especially visually, musically. It had pretty much a little bit of every story, and yeah, that's my take on it. So if I'd have to rate this one, I'd probably give it, like, as a short film, obviously, as an anthology segment, a 4.5.
Wow. Yeah, I was honestly, I'm gonna. God, it's hard because I mean, filmmaking wise, just everything is definitely a 4, but like just kind of like keeping my attention and like really connecting with the story, it was more 3.5. But
no, I get it. I get it.
All right, so then the fourth one was A Cup of Tea, right?
In a Cup of Tea, yeah.
In a Cup of Tea. That one
this
was
one's like a story in a story. It's weird.
Yeah, that one was
story in a story in a story. Even
I thought the whole premise could have been a little scarier, and it didn't.
It wasn't.
It should have got scarier. It should have been more horror, but it was more just like.
It was more like magical kind of stuff.
Yeah, supernatural. Well, what do you think the theme of it was? Like, what was the theme of can you remember?
I think
this one didn't really
since it orbited a writer. Since it orbited a writer, then it probably, I think it has something to do with, like, even though this is like the samurai segment with like actual great like battle scenes in it,
right?
Which like honestly stole the show towards the end of the film. But no, I think this one's just more about like a writer's obsession with their own work. You understand, like, like how he kind of got sucked into his own story, and like, or even just like about like the samurai's honor and all that. Even though that's kind of more in like the first story. But yeah, I mean, the film, it really becomes like a holistic masterpiece towards the end because, each story has its own massive theme, but as each story goes on, they kind of pick up on what the last one had also.
Yeah, yeah. So like such a, I mean, just overall the whole movie, was just pivotal to the evolution of Japanese horror. And anyone who's
Yeah.
going to go down a J horror hole, this is definitely a must watch. Like I said, I really regret I didn't watch it earlier. Another one I need to get to, and if we would have did a triple, it would be Onibaba, because that's another one. So I know you have that. I'll definitely get to that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, overall, rating wise, since you picked this for me, I'll go first. But thank you so much for bringing this to me. And overall, I'm going to say a 4, because unfortunately,
I say 4.5.
the first and the fourth would brought it down. But like, man, the whole thing in general is just, I love just like the simplicity of an anthology. Like, it didn't have no wraparounds or nothing like that. Just like 4 stories, and they all had one thing in common, which was Japanese folklore horror, and just folklore in general, the samurai stuff, and yeah, just a beautiful piece of work. That much deserved to be a Criterion. Yep. Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, your rating. Oh, you said 4.5, right? Overall.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Very cool, guys. All right. Well,
but Onibaba's better.
Really? Onibaba's better. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna see what we're gonna do next month. We're gonna see what we're gonna talk about next month, which will be a new thing we're gonna discuss when we get back as far as theme. So we'll see you back after this break. We're back, and we are going to discuss what we're going to watch next month. And just a quick theme change as far as the show. We were doing where Jake picks a film for me, I pick a film for him that we never seen before. And, since we are screening these and like to get a little more regular by screening what we're showing on big screen, I really want to take into account more of like what are some audience favorites as well. So the theme of the show is always been kind of like more like just self-indulgence for us, like I want to watch this, you want to watch this, and we went pretty deep in genres and stuff. And not that we're not going to do that anymore, but I just thought it'd be cool if maybe like what we'll do is, let's say 1 month I pick a theme, but if I pick that theme, you got to pick 2 movies that are with that theme. So in other words,
it doesn't matter if we've seen it or not.
Theme, right? Doesn't matter if we've seen it or not. But the whole thing is like, if I pick a theme, you pick the 2 movies. If you pick the theme, I pick the 2 movies. So it's kind of a way of saying, hey, Dad, you've always been telling me about this genre. This is what it's going to be. And I go, cool. Well, here's the 2 you need to see. And it could be something you've never seen before, or just something that we want to celebrate and watch again. So with all that said, what we're going to do is Jake picked a theme, and he surprised me with the theme of, what'd you pick?
Oh, I accidentally chose this. But cannibals.
Cannibals. So of course, when he says cannibals, I was like, I gotcha. And I've been waiting to show you this first movie for a long time, and we made jokes about it. I remember posting pictures about how we had movie night, and I took a picture of this box cover, which was Cannibal Holocaust. So you're 18 years old now, It's time for some
I
Cannibal
screwed ourselves this time. Trying to stay there for the last shot. I don't even know where we are
And I
now.
know, what do you know about this film?
I know they
Basically, tell me what you
that
and I know you just
lost
watched Blair Witch
everything.
Project, so
Like,
that's what's
We're
controversial.
screwed. We're trapped.
Yes. Controversial as far as like it was one of the video nasties, and it was, I think, put in a category of trash, but I think you'll really see that there's a lot more to this movie than just
I can't understand
gore, sex, and violence, because it's cinema. And there's the opening penis shot right now. No, but like there's it's got everything in this. There's no limits. I love that Grindhouse releasing put this movie out on Blu-ray and remastered it and everything. This is said to be the one that goes all the way. I just love that tagline, the one that goes all the way, because that's what it really is. There's so much we're going to talk
But is
about.
it really?
Well, that's what you're going to see. And I know you've seen a lot. You've seen Solemn, so like that's why I'm like, okay.
There's no way this is worse than Sono.
No. Well, but it's definitely in the same category. Look at this. They won't even show this in the trailer. And it's just so real. Man, we're gonna talk about this. Don't worry. We're gonna look at the one. We're gonna talk about this, and that's gonna be a good episode. So this is Cannibal Films. That is what I call Yep.
Okay,
So,
I've heard good things about Cannibal Holocaust, but the one I've heard not so great things about is freaking Cannibal Ferox or whatever.
Okay, well, there you go, and that's our number 2 film. And the reason why I'm going to have to double team this one, or double feature this one for you, is because this is an example how the Italians took something and just tried to capitalize on what they knew the people liked most out of those films. So Umberto Lenzi, which I know you've watched some of his stuff.
Okay, but the music's good, so.
Oh yeah, the score is amazing.
No, I like some Lenzi. I don't hate Lenzi holistically, but he's made some films that have pissed me off forever.
Yeah. Well, this is, if somebody says watch a Cannibal film and they watch Ferox first, then that's saying, oh, that's trash. And then when you watch Cannibal Holocaust, you probably just won't even get anything else and just say it's a little bit more trash. But this is definitely the dialogue. I mean, it's just so, it's awesome because it's not supposed to be cinema.
Where's your stuff?
Yeah, come on, bitch, where's your stuff? I mean, that's Lenzi, that's the Italian sleeves, and that's trash. But this is a good one.
I've never seen him freaking top.
But the gore is really good in this.
What was it?
And Green Inferno, which Eli Roth did, they say that he really took a lot from Cannibal Holocaust, but I think he took a lot more
They look like
story-wise
him.
from this one. So.
The cannibals look like that. Cannibal.
Yeah, and
Did they
of course,
kill real animals in this one,
yeah,
though?
that's the controversy too. That's the main controversry actually. Is there was animal killings? There's actually versions on the Blu-ray where
No,
you
but,
can
like,
watch it
don't
without
these-
animal killings.
Okay, but were the animal killings like actually cruel, or like, cause like these freaking people hunt. I'm not sure if these are real cannibals, but like sometimes they do that. Or not real cannibals, real tribes. Like they really do hunt. So
Yeah.
like, how is that cruelty? Like, are they like freaking burning them alive or something? Because then maybe that is.
Well, we'll definitely discuss, but like in
Or is it just
Cannibal
death on
Holocaust, in Cannibal Holocaust, it is, by the way, real tribes, and they did eat.
Yeah.
They did eat the animals that they killed. So
Well,
that's,
yeah, but they're not like cannibals.
yeah.
I mean.
But the thing is, what's controversial is that they did takes over and over and over, and just to get shots, and now there's so many strict rules about animal abuse, and
I mean, that's great. That's great that they have strict rules, but
and
like,
they made actors do things too that they didn't want. I actually spoke to
oh, okay,
what's the
that's
actor?
bad.
Robert Kurtzman, I think his name is. Yeah, from Cannibal Holocaust.
I screwed ourselves this
Let
time.
me flip back around here. And I talked to him at a convention, and he told me that Deodato, wanted him to do the scene, and he says, "I won't do that scene. I'm walking off." And so another actor stepped up and said, "I'll do it." So we'll discuss that. But there's a lot about this movie. There's they were or about Holocaust. They were sued, or they had to be brought into court to prove, because the footage of the murders of the snuff film footage was so realistic that they had to bring in the makeup artist to prove that it was just makeup, and the actors had to be brought in to prove that they were really dead, because that's how real they had to prove that, because they wanted to put him in jail for life for murder until he proved that they were just
That's like a
actors.
compliment.
Crazy. Exactly.
But
Exactly. And that's why all these years later he finally got deserved for what he did, which was shock people, and that's what you want to do in these kind of movies. So
yeah.
he
But
did
my
it right.
question is, the problem with a lot of found footage films is, like, I know this is literally considered one of the first found footage films, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what inspired
Like,
Blair Witch Project too. Definitely.
yeah. And like that came out like pretty much like 20 years later. So like this film was like freaking ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Like very.
Yep.
I don't even know of a found footage film beforehand.
I'm sure
Because
there
like when could a
be,
found
but
footage even have been? I mean, yeah, but like when could it even have been a thing at first? Like when were like
that's a good
handheld
question.
VHS kind of like found footage cameras even
Well,
first released?
not even just handheld stuff, but it could just be film, film reels, which is this. I mean, they found the film, so that could be in the old days
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So they could have found Charlie Chaplin's first film or something. I guess he doesn't think of it. There might be
No,
one.
I mean this
I don't
is
know.
definitely probably the
Let's look
first
into it.
found footage horror film. Do you think so? That's just a shot in the dark, but
Oh,
it
horror
probably
film,
is.
yes, for sure. But like I said, I don't know if anyone ever used that premise of finding footage and claiming that it was
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
So that would be some good
But
research.
okay,
to
here's my
look into.
question though. The problem with most found footage films, horror or not, is that they can never justify the fact that it had to all have been filmed.
Yeah.
Blair Witch is good at it because like she's trying to make a film out of it. Like that's cool. But like a film that makes no sense, like some of the paranormal activity films, like dude, put the damn camera down, you're getting hunted by a ghost, like why
Oh
are you
yeah.
recording this? You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
See, that's the thing. Like
So like
Cannibal
does this
Holocaust
film
really.
justify that
Yeah,
being
I
filmed?
really want to get into it later because we can go on, but yeah, there's definitely a lot that Cannibal Holocaust deserves for the way they did it, and then even Blair Witch for the way they did it. But then everyone after that was just trying to imitate in a bad way. So
I mean, there have been
this was
some
a
which-
real way of making a film with that premise and with that theme. So
Yeah.
all right, very cool. Let's end it right here. So real quick, Jake, tell me and tell everybody here about where we can find you if they want to get a hold of Jake.
Well, I officially have 0 social medias, but I still do technically have a YouTube account, which, whenever I feel like it, I'll post videos. I haven't been active in a very long time, but, it always crosses my mind that I should do something. Which, we did
right.
today. We did the podcast, which is great.
Speaking on
But
Flicks.
yeah, it's called Speaking on Flicks is the YouTube account.
Okay, we'll
And
talk
that's
about your
basically the only
writings
place
on
you can find
Letterboxd.
Oh, Letterboxd. What am I talking about? Yeah, Letterboxd is the only social media I have, but I don't consider it a social media. See, I didn't even consider it.
Well,
That's
follow
how high I
Jake
think
here. The address is right under him. That follow Jake here because he is I'll blow you up myself here, but he's an amazing critic. He's an amazing writer, and he gives really good deep synopsis, deep reviews, and just overall criticism as well on film, and he's really good at it. So you'll find him on Letterboxd. What's your handle? It's right there under you. What am I asking for?
Jake Gonzalez or JGINZZ.
Right. All right. And I'm also on Letterboxd under Space Tunes. I just pretty much log what I'm watching. Don't really do much reviews. If I feel like it, I'll make a little blurb, but I'm not really a big writer. That's what Jake was born. And as far as me, I'm on Instagram. And again, the show is on Speaking on Flicks to watch on Netflix. I mean, not Netflix. I keep saying that. On YouTube. And also, of course, Cinema Snobs VR Saturday nights is where you can watch films with us right here on Bigscreen in avatar form with us. If you're not familiar with Bigscreen, get yourself a MetaQuest headset, jump into a theater with people from all over the world and watch movies. You got to give it a try. Stop closing that damn mind. This is the future. You can watch movies and talk about them, or just like us, we have a no talk policy. We watch the film, and if there's enough crowd in a hangout afterwards, we'll talk about the film. Open up a room and talk about the film with people from all over the world. Anyway, next month is going to be great. We're talking cannibals. We're talking Italian horror stuff. So see you there. And yeah, we'll catch you in March. Have a good one. Take care.